Hi everyone, very good evening. Guys, am I audible? All right, guys, we'll wait for another 2 minutes. I am expecting few more attendees over here, so we'll give it another 2 minutes and then we'll get started. All right, let's get started. Hi everyone, I am Sunny Aggarwal. I welcome you all on the behalf of TGH in this webinar. This is our webinar number 2. We did another webinar last weekend, right? So the whole idea of this webinar is to basically, spread some awareness about Boomi. So I just want to thank you all for joining this, webinar, finding some time on the weekend. So before we get started with the actual agenda, we would want to speak a little bit about our organization, what we do as a company. So Techie Geek Hub, which we call it as TGH, with the motto of making integration simpler. So we are an integration based company who completely operate in different integration tools and technologies. We call ourselves as an integration factory where we do the deliveries for different customers in a factory model. We have had a tremendous growth in last couple of years. As of now, we are working for 20 plus active customers. We have 50 plus certified professionals working for us, and we have different service areas. So we are into. Will request everyone to be on mute. So we have different service areas. So we are into consulting, where we help different customers to do the platform evaluation, to do different consulting exercises such as evaluating their integration landscape, uh, health. We are into the implementations where we do end-to-end, solution implementation for our customers. And another service area we have is that we are into trainings. We deliver a lot of trainings around different integration tools and technologies, and one of those happens to be Boomi. So this is brief about us. Let's move on. So just before we get started with the little more technical stuff, we just wanted to make you more aware, because some of you guys would request everyone to go on mute. Yeah, so I just wanted to ensure, in case if you would want to stay connected with us, right? So these are our different platforms where we have our presence. So we keep on posting the latest updates about different integration tools and technologies on these platforms. Some of the latest features which gets rolled out, some of the latest integration trends, some of the questions which might help you to have more awareness about these things, and any company updates also you can find it over here. So I would request Chitra from my team to basically post these links in the chat window so that people can follow our pages, and we can stay connected for a longer time, right? Since you have invested some time with us over here, we would want a longer associationship with you. So Chitra, can you please do the needful over here?
I have posted the links.
All right, thanks. So let's move on. We have some people joining in and dropping off. Would request everyone to stay on mute. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat window. After some stipulated interval of times, I would start taking up questions from you. So if you have any questions, even if it is not part of this webinar's agenda, we would like to help you out with the answers of those. So we have reserved some time at the end of the webinar to come up with the answers of all your questions, right? So let's move on. All right, I think I spoke about me, but would want to elaborate a little bit on myself. My name is Sunny Aggarwal. I work as a chief integration evangelist with Techie Hub Software Solutions. I've got 10 plus years of IT experience in integration landscape. I have worked on different integration platforms. Uh, I have implemented, I think, probably 20 plus integration projects for different customers. Training is my passion, and I have been training people for last 6 plus years on different integration tools and technologies. And I'm sure I must have trained 1,000 plus people so far. Some of you might have already seen some of my videos over the YouTube or some other channels. Uh, yeah, but we have been doing as a company, we have been doing really good work in integration space. And if you want to check some more updates about us, you can visit our uh, these social platform pages. So guys, a quick check we would do, before we get started is there might have been some people who might have skimmed through some social platforms where they saw some posts from us and they registered for this webinar. So just wanted to do a quick check that if you are falling into any of these areas, or are you facing some of the issues in your career, because which brings you over here, right? So like there might be some of you who want to kind of upskill yourself, right? You might be working in some obsolete tools and technologies which are not so demanding, or which are very legacy ones, and you want to upskill yourself so that your existence makes sense and you have more growth as an individual. Or you just want to basically upskill yourself because you want to make sure that maybe you're doing good at your career, you're good, happy with your job, but still you want to add one more flavor, or add one more skill in your kitty. So if you're here because of that, then I think it's the right place for you. There might be some of you who are freshers, right, who are looking to start their career in IT space, specifically in IT integration space, right? So let me tell you, integration is one of the very, very demanding space within IT. It is one area where, like, I have been seeing lot of demand for the last 10 plus years, and this is gonna continue like ever, because it is more because there is less awareness among the people about this.
Question without an answer.
Would request Balu Mahender, if you can stay on mute, and if there is something multitasking you are doing, please be, because I have been muting you almost 10 times now. All right, and if you're dealing with any of their career changes, then also it's the right place. So I believe all of you who have joined today's webinar must be facing some issues, or maybe you want to uplift your career to the next level, which brings you over here. And I, as organizer of this webinar, would try to make sure that next 60 minutes or 80 minutes which we are going to spend are of high relevance for you. You are able to grasp some relevant things from this webinar which are useful for you to make some bold decisions about your career. All right, so let's quickly look at the agenda we have. Guys, please do not try these annotations and all. I really don't know who has tried this, but maybe it is by mistake. So this is like a little bit distracting. Yeah. So in this webinar, we will cover these 4 pointers. Some of these pointers were covered in our last webinar also, but we feel that these are of high relevance, high significant for the people who want to make their career in Boomi. So we will show how can you build your first simple integration in Boomi, so that how these different components look like, what is the complexity level, right? Will it be right fit for you or not? The next important thing is about the Dell Boomi certification, because these days certification on these integration tools really hold very high value. The job opportunities in Boomi, and in case you are very serious to make your career in Boomi, right? In case you are looking for some guidance, how can we come into the picture? How can we help you out, you know, to get things streamlined for you? All right, let's move on. So guys, we'll start with the first thing, which is there on the cards, that is how to build your first integration on Boomi, right? I'm not sure how many of you are aware about Boomi, but let's quickly get started. Let me quickly pull a notepad. So Boomi is an integration platform, right? And what is integration? It is the process of collaboration, right? Everywhere around you, if you would observe, there is integration among different tools and technologies. Just give me a minute. If I can make one of my team member as a co-host, and Chitra, will you be able to help me to add attendees, because I'm getting distracted a bit. A lot of people are kind of jumping in. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So integration is the process of collaboration between two or more applications, right? So we all know in IT there are different applications, right? There might be applications like some e-commerce portals. I'm sure you must have seen, right? E-commerce portals. All of you must have used either Flipkart or Amazon or Myntra. There are different sites, right? If let's say these e-commerce portals needs to know with their inventories, right? So do you see, sometimes you go to any website and you see something like sold out or not available kind of symbol, because how is that happening? So that information is not there on the e-commerce portal. So they are pulling the information about any product from the inventory. So there must be some application which holds a detail about the inventory, that for this specific product, how many items do we have in the inventory? And whenever that number of items turns out to be zero, here we see some kind of an message, kind of sold out or not available right now, right? So there is a need of integration, right? Because integration eventually helps in giving the connected experiences, right? Integration helps in giving the connected experiences, and this is kind of a core of any organization. Okay, so there are so many companies. You talk about Reliance, internally they are doing so much integration. You talk about Flipkart, you talk about Amazon, any company you talk about, without integration they do not have any existence, right? So now to achieve this integration, there are different tools and technologies, right? There are different tool and technologies in the market, and one of the tool is Dell Boomi. It is a cloud based integration platform. Cloud is the latest trend in the market, right? Everyone is talking about cloud. All the organizations are moving towards cloud, and that is why there is a lot of demand for this tool in the market. There are a lot of opportunities. Even if you have some basic skills on this, people are looking out for people on this skills, because there is a lot of integration to achieve. And since it is one of the modern tool, that's why the demand is very, very high, right? So now, if you want to get started with this, right, you must be wondering, what should I know? You should just have a basic logical ability. If you know 1 plus 10 is equal to 11, right, you are the right fit to learn this tool, because it does not involve much of the coding. It is completely intuitive. Intuitive means you just do the configuration, you do a drag and drop, and your job is done, right? So if you want to get started with this, how do you start? You have to go here, https platform.boomi.com, right? I'll not speak much of the theory, because we did that in the last webinar, and I don't want this to be monotonous for the people who were there in the last webinar. So we want to stick to our agenda, and our agenda is how to get started with the integration on the Boomi. So what we'll do is, we will pick up uh, this platform.boomi.com, right? We'll go here and we'll launch it. I'm so sorry. I have already launched it, but yes, you can launch it once again. I just want to give you a fresh start so that, if you're following these steps, you know how to go about it. So I'll sign out for now. Yeah. So this is the landing page, which will take you to the Boomi platform. It is a cloud-based platform. You just need the internet connection, right? If you have the internet connection, and of course, you have the subscription for this, right? You can get started with this. So, for example, I will start with my credentials right now. Okay, there is a very easy way to get these credentials. I have explained in my last webinar. You can take a look at that video if you want. And Chitra, even if you can post the video for the last webinar link, right? I think it will be helpful for the people who were not there in the last webinar.
Yeah, great. I will just post that YouTube link over here.
All right, thank you. So guys, we are into this Boomi platform. Here you will get an option called as services. So Boomi offers different services, right? Yeah, understand it properly. There are 4 services over here: integration, master data hub, API management, flow. These are the 4 different services offered by Boomi as of today. Out of these 4 services, integration is one of the core services, which is the most demanding service. Out of 100 opportunities we have in the market, 90 to 95 of them are on integration. So if you are an integration expert, if you're a Boomi integration expert, believe me, you will have a really, really good future. Right, so we are on the platform. So what we did is we just launched this platform.boomi.com. We logged into it, and here you see there are different options, right? Build, deploy, manage. So what does it mean? So Dell Boomi is an iPaaS. iPaaS means integration platform as a service, and we can call one offering as iPaaS if it allows us to build, deploy, and manage integrations from a single platform, right? I'll just jump onto my notepad. So what I was saying is Dell Boomi is an iPaaS. You should know all these things, guys. iPaaS stands for integration platform as a service. So that is just the full form, right? But what does it mean? It is a platform where we can build, deploy, and manage integrations. If we can do all these 3 things from a single platform, then it is called as an iPaaS. And Boomi iPaaS is also called as, or Boomi platform is also called as, anyone has any idea what is it also called as? Boomi Atomsphere platform. It is not atmosphere, it is atomsphere. It is not Boomi. Okay, this is wrong. Right is Boomi. Okay, a lot of people write a mail to me that we want to learn Boomi. Okay, it is not Boomi. So please do not think it is Boomi. It is Boomi. Boom for boom wala Boomi. And iPaaS stands for integration platform as a service. So we'll go back here to our platform, right? So we logged into this. So here we have to understand these different options we have, right? So what we will do is we'll just try to understand few of those. Uh, so whatever you see on the left hand side, this is called as Component Explorer. This is called as Component Explorer. So what do you mean by Component Explorer? This is the place where you will find all the components that can be used in Boomi, right? This is the section where you can see different shortcuts, isn't it? See, you see a shortcut to open some of the recent items. You see the options to create some things. You see the options to know about some runtimes, some components, and there is a shortcut to learn some things, right? So there are different options which they have consolidated on their welcome screen, right? This is our Component Explorer. This is a build tab which will be used to build the integrations. This is a deploy tab using which we can do the deployment of our integrations. And this is a manage tab which will eventually help us to manage our integrations. right? So everything we can do from this platform. I haven't done any installation so far. I just got my credentials. I just have got the internet connection. I could log in and I could get started, right? So this features were not there in our traditional platforms. There were a lot of installation which needs to be done over there, which is very time consuming and painful. With this cloud offerings, that all overhead has been taken away, right? And that's why customer wants that our delivery should happen faster, right? Because we have to move with a faster velocity, right? And that can only happen when we can reduce the overhead, and that is only possible with these all modern offerings there in the market, right? Any questions from anyone so far? All right. So guys, if you get this platform, you will see something like this. This is called as your root folder. Okay, the name might be different for different people. So here the name is training root. So here you see there are different subfolders. Okay, but when you start your journey, if you are working for some customer and you log in for the first time, you will just see a root folder like this. That's all. You might not see anything else. So what is the convention, or what is the recommendation is, you start with a new folder. So let's say I will start with hash webinar 2. All right. So we will find somewhere this hash webinar 2. Yes, this is our second webinar. Within this, we will start with our integrations, right? So we will just do a small integration use case over here. So we start with a new component. Let's say integration between file and database, right? So we will do a small use case here where we will try to show you how to integrate between a file system and a database, right? Which happens in the real time world also, right? So there might be some data which is there in the file, and we might need to push that data to the database. So if we want to do these kind of integrations, we can use Boomi as the integration platform. So what we have done over here is we have started with a new component, new process. And in this process, what we are trying to achieve? We are trying to achieve the integration between a file system and a database, right? So just think it like this. There are two different applications. One has got some file system where some files are there. We have to read the data from those files and we have to push to the database, right? So we started with one component, and that component name was process. Yes. Can you see here the name? And what type is this? This is process is a component, isn't it? Right. So we will just save everything. So when you start your integrations in Boomi, right, you will see this kind of canvas. So if you see here in this canvas, we will drag and drop different shapes. We will do the configuration and we will achieve the integrations, right? So we will start with start shape. Start shape marks the beginning of the flow. It means you are executing from this point, right? This is your starting point. So we will start with a start shape. There are different types. I cannot cover everything. So for now, we will just go with no data. That's all. Yeah, I will repeat myself. We started with a folder webinar 2. Within that, what we did is we click this option. We started with a component and we created a component, and that component is of which type? Process. What is the process name? Integration between file and database. And here we want to achieve the integration. So if we have a starting point, what is opposite to start? What is the opposite of start?
End.
End. Or can we say stop?
Yes.
Yes. So we will get stop also. So what do I mean by that is, whatever we have to do between these 2 points. This is the start of something, this is the end of something, and in between these 2 points, what we want to achieve? We want to read the data from a file and we have to write it into a database. Now when you get these kind of requirements, right, you have to understand a little bit about requirement even before you start with the actual stuff. So requirement is read the data from file and write it into database. So what are the two different systems we have? One system is file system, right? And another system is database. So for you have to ask, where is this file located, right? Where is this file located? I am saying file is located in the same machine where your Boomi runtime is available. Okay, what is the meaning of runtime? Runtime means, see, we are having a platform, and along with a platform, to execute your logic, you need something called as runtime engine. Okay, you need something called as runtime engine to execute your logic. So if I am saying the file is located in the same machine where your Boomi runtime engine is available, which means my local machine. So I am saying I want to do an integration between a file system and a database. So if this requirement comes in even in real time, you have to ask all these questions, that where is the file located? What other question comes in your mind about file? Format of the file, isn't it? Do you need to know the format of the file? Yes, I am saying the file is a CSV format. And what is the meaning of CSV? Comma separated values, right? We have to write it to the database. Now what question comes in your mind when you speak, when you understand, or when you get a requirement where you have to write it to the database? What comes to your mind? What question you should ask? Because until and unless you ask right questions, you will not be able to do right integrations. Any question, guys, which comes to your mind?
From which location we have to extract the data,
Okay,
or we have to put the
so
data.
where is this database? Can I say that first?
Yeah, correct.
Which means, is it on cloud or is it on-prem, right? Type of database, isn't it? Which means whether it is an Oracle database or MySQL database or SQL Server database, right? Then you might need to know the version also, database version of the database, right? Then you might need to know the credentials, host, port, database name. So you might need to know all these details. And the reason why I'm telling you is, see, before you start with the integration, you have to understand the problem statement. The problem statement is, there is a file, let's say some employee.csv, which is lying at one location somewhere here. My business requirement is, boss, you go and read this file and push it into a database. And how do we store the information in database? In the form of, what do we create in the database to store the information? Tables, right?
Tables. Yeah.
Very nice. So we use tables. So here we will say, let's say there is a table employees. So what we want is, eventually this information which is there in a CSV file that is coming from one machine should go into the database that might be in the same machine or a different machine, right? This is our business requirement. Right now, since this is a webinar, so we will assume everything is in a single machine, but in real time, it might happen these two things are in different machines. One is on-prem, other is on cloud. So all these things are possible, right? Okay, any questions from anyone so far? Guys, feel free to post your questions. Do not hesitate. If you have any questions, you can always put it in the chat window. Even you can unmute yourself and you can ask your questions. All right, so let's move on. So we have got a starting point, we have got a stop point. So what do you think what we should do once we start? What is the first thing we should do? We should have a mechanism to read the data or to read the file. So in Boomi, whenever we want to talk with some different end systems or with different technologies, we have got some connectors. Connectors will help us to basically go and talk to them, right? So if we go here, we will find some connector called as disk. Disk means we want to read the data from our machine. So right now I want to read the data from my machine. I will say drag and drop over here. See, few things you will not understand if you have no idea, but yeah, you can always ask me, because this is a short, webinar where we cannot cover everything. But if you have any questions, you can always ask. So what I'll do is I will just remove this wire which is coming from here, right? Guys, if you're not talking, please be on mute. So we will just attach this wire. See, attaching this wire from one component to another in right fashion is very, very important. So after start, what is going to happen? Disk, and in this disk, what we are trying to achieve? We are trying to read the file. So before we read the file, should we have some file? Isn't it? So what I did is, just to save time, I created a file before we even got started. Can you see some file over here, guys? Yes. Is it a CSV file?
Yeah.
Yes. So we are going to read from this directory. All right. And what is the name of the file? employee.csv. So what we will do is we'll go back here, we'll create a connection, and here we will give the directory from where we want to read the files. And here the next thing is operation. So connection means we are talking with some end system, and what end system we are talking with right now? It is the file system. And what operation we want to perform? Do we want to read the file or write the file? We want to read the file, right? And where do we want to write?
On the database.
We want to write into the database. Awesome. So we will go to the operation, and here we can give the file name. Okay, even if you don't give the file name and you leave this star, it will try to read all the files. But right now in that directory, how many files are there? Let's quickly check. How many files are there in this directory? Only one. So if you just leave it empty also, that is fine. Let's try to leave it empty. Okay, so we started with a start shape. We have a disconnector over here. What is the use of disconnector? To read the files, and we have a stop point. So are we done with our use case? Are we done? No, right? What else do we need? We need database connector also. Why do we need database connector? Because eventually we have to write into the database. So I will just double click on this. And what should be the action? Get or send? Are we trying to read the data, or are we trying to write the data?
Write the data.
Write the data, right? So the action should be send, and here we have to give the connection details, right? So what I've done is, before this session started, I have installed Oracle database in my machine. Okay, so if you just want to see, let's say this is the database, and here we will quickly create a table. I'm sure many of you might be knowing how to create a table. If you don't know, that's fine. You can look at this. It's really simple. We got the table created. How many columns are there in this table? 3 columns: employee ID, employee name, employee salary. So just understand what we are trying to achieve. That data which is residing in the file, we want to push it into database, isn't it? Right. So we need to establish a connectivity with the database. So here I will select, it is an Oracle database. Username is Sumit. Let's say, so you can give your own usernames. Local host, since it is in my machine. Port by default is 1521, and the database name by default is XE. XE is for Express Edition. And here I will test the connection. So I have some runtime, and I will test the connectivity. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to check that runtime engine, which will execute all my integrations, is there a connectivity between that runtime engine and the database? You might ask me, what is that runtime engine? That runtime engine in this case is called as Atom, which I will cover in my actual sessions. And that Atom has already been installed by me, because I eventually want to execute integrations. So you develop integration, that is one thing, but to execute all those integrations, you need some kind of a runtime engine, right? So we will just save and close. So whenever we want to configure some connector, there is a connection and there is an operation. Did you observe the same thing over here also? There was a connection and there was a operation. So in this database thing, you see, if we leave it like this, do you see some warning?
Yes.
This warning indicates that some steps are missing. So we will go here and we will do the remaining steps. So what we want to do, we want to insert employees data. We'll go to profile and here we will click on statement. Do you see some options over here? Standard insert. We will choose dynamic insert. Dynamic insert means you don't need to create a query, it will be automatically created. We will see here import. Here we will choose one atom. So where is this atom coming from? This is the runtime engine. Okay, this is a symbol of runtime engine, because whatever you develop, eventually something has to be there which will execute this whole logic, right? And that entity is called as runtime engine, which in Boomi is also called as atom. Here we will select the connection. Just some time back we created the connection. Yes. And here I will give some schema and let's hit next. So sometimes you will get this kind of error. Okay, it is very, very common. So you just hit back and try one more time. Do you see that table? Yes, guys. Do you see the table?
Yes.
All right. So the table is there. So you see this is loading columns from the table. These are your columns, right? We select all. Guys, please do not do drawing on my screen. It's a humble request. All right. We'll see next. Finish. So here we have all the columns, right? 3 columns. Save and close. All right. Now this was very, very simple, right? We didn't write a single line of code. We were able to read some data, or I mean, we did the configuration. Whether we were able to read or not, for that we have to do some testing, and we have some mechanism of writing the data. Now, one thing you have to understand is, think in the real time world also, right? If there is a person who understands, let's say, English, there is another person who understands Chinese. And if these two people need to talk to each other, what needs to happen? What needs to happen, guys?
A translator.
Very nice. We need to have some kind of translator, right? Who can convert instructions from one format to another format. So whenever you're working in integration space, one very, very important thing is transformation. So what kind of transformation we need to do? So what is our source format? In which format is the file? Let's look at the file one more time.
Yeah, it is a .csv file.
Very nice. It is a .csv file, right? CSV format. And eventually when we have to write the data, in which format do we need to write? This is the database format. So what kind of transformation we need to do? From the CSV format to the database format. So here to do the transformations in Boomi, we have something called as map. What do we have? Map. So you see how many new things we have seen, right? We saw something like start. We saw something like desk. We saw something like database. We saw something like stop. And now we are introducing map. But can we keep map after database? Do you think that will be the right thing to do? Where should
Absolutely
we
not.
place map?
This
Give it a try. Go for it. Where should we place it?
after disk.
Very nice. Why after disk?
To
Because
translate that.
absolutely, because you read one format, here you want another format. So whatever translation has to happen in between, right? So that's why that order is very, very important. Order is very, very important. Very nice. So what we will do here, why do we see some warning? Because our configurations are
The order has
incomplete.
been changed.
Because our configurations are incomplete. It is giving the warning, na, do the configuration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like somebody rightly mentioned, we are doing translation. Translation from CSV to DB. Can I write like that? All right. So what has happened is, if you just observe it carefully, I'll come back. If you just observe this this database piece, right? This operation. Did you see some representation over here? Employee ID, employee name, employee cell. Are these the name of the columns? If you look at the database, are these the name of the columns? Yes or no?
Yes.
So in
Yes, yes.
Boomi, we were able to represent those columns with something called as profile. So profile is nothing but representation of a format. So this is the database representation. So what we will do is, in this map, understand this. In this map, there are some partitions. This is called as source side. The one which you see on the left is called as source side. This is called as source side. This is called as target side. So for example, think of this as like English, this is Chinese. And in between, what we will do? We will do some kind of transformation, right? Or translation, right? That's why we have translators, right? Who will translate when our country prime minister goes to some other country. And if there is a need, right? Whenever all these bureaucrats will go, these translators will also go with them, right? So that they can convey what they are trying to speak, right? So when we are working in integration world, we are nothing but translators of IT, right? We are translators of IT. So what do you think, guys? Which side represents source, which side represents target,
Left side source.
Yeah.
and right side is
Source is the
target?
file system. Yeah. Source is the file system and destination is the database.
Very nice. So here, this is my target, this is the database, this is source, right? Left is source, right is target, and target is database. So what we will do is, we'll go to this option called as choose. And in this, you will see different types of options, which means your data can be represented in all these formats. So we will go to database, we will go to webinar 2, and here we will choose our database representation. What is the source representation? What CSV, right? Very nice. So here we will go for a drop down. Do we see CSV option?
No.
Actually, flat file is used to represent CSVs.
Okay.
Okay, flat
Okay.
file. So what we have to do is, we have to create. So we did not create a representation for this, so we will have to create it. I will say create. So I will say employee data. So data is there in the file, but we are trying to create a representation of this. Have you heard something called as metadata? Has any one of you heard something called as metadata, guys?
Yeah.
What is metadata?
It is a kind of a prototype of a structure of the data.
Very nice. It actually, in general sense, we say data about data. Okay, that's how people call it as. But what you told was very, very nice. So it is actually some helping data about data. I'll give you some example also. So for example, I write 101. What is this 101? It can be some employee ID, isn't it? It can be some room number also, room of a hotel, isn't it? It can be some house number also. If I write like this, now does it have some specific meaning or not? Now can it be called as 101 is a room number over here? No, right? So this employee ID is the metadata which is giving some additional information about your actual raw data. Now when we are doing integrations, data will be produced at a later stage, right? But when we develop integration, we don't have the data, isn't it? When we develop the data, when we develop these integrations, we don't have the data. So what we will do is, we will create some metadata. Metadata is used to represent the actual data. For example, when we created this table, look at this, guys. When we created the table, we do select star from employee. Do we have the data? No, right? But do we have some metadata?
Yeah.
What is the metadata? This is the metadata,
It's
right? Employee
disk
ID,
employee.
employee name, employee sal, right? So metadata is very, very important when we are designing the integrations, and metadata can be in different formats, right? This metadata in Boomi terminology is called as profile. This metadata in Boomi terminology is called as profile, right? Or some people also call it as schema. Schema means structure. So it is going to tell you what is the structure, what is the data type, what is the length, right? But actual data will be something like this. Insert into employee values. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me create one. Let's understand this carefully. Insert into employees. Let us take some dummy values. Okay, maybe this is number. What's wrong? We forgot the keyword, right? Isn't it? Again, something is wrong. The table name is wrong. The table name is employee and not employees. The row got created. Now we run a select query. So what is this 101 Sumit and 1000? Is it the data or the metadata?
It's
Data.
data.
And what is EMP ID, EMP name, and EMP sal?
Metadata.
101.
101 Sumit and 1000 is the data.
Yeah.
EMP ID, EMP name, EMP sal is the metadata. Does it make sense? Any questions? So what we will do is we will delete everything from here. Okay, once we delete, do we have anything? No, right? Nothing.
No.
All right. Let's switch back. So here now we will create the metadata for that file. So how can we create metadata? It is very, very easy. Click here, go to options. Is it a delimited file? Delimited
Yeah.
means which has some separator. What kind of delimited? Comma separated, right? So comma is the delimiter. Do we have some column header in that file? If you go back to that file, do we have some column header?
Yes.
Yes.
Employee ID. Employee
Yes,
name.
very nice. So we will say column header is there. We will say import. We will choose that file. Where can we go and find the file? It is there in my machine, tgh, Boomi, webinar, and files. Here that file is present. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take a sample file, and using that sample file, I'm just creating metadata. That's all. And now what we should do? We have source, we have target. What is required here, guys? Transformation, right? Translation. Somebody answer translation. Employee ID to this.
Employee.
Employee name to this. Employee salary to this. Done? Yes.
Salary. Employee. Okay.
So we mapped three things. I will show you again. Let's remove it. Employee ID to this. So which representation is this? CSV representation. And which representation is on the right hand side?
Map.
Database representation. And what we are doing is mapping. We will say save and close. Now sometimes what will happen is when you will have complex things, now it will not look so good. Like this is how it might look, right? Something not so presentable. So in Boomi there is a button called as arrange button. Just click on this. It will arrange everything for you properly. Now what we'll say test. Now understand this. So whatever we did so far, we developed some integration, right? Now whenever we develop something, do we need to test it out?
Yeah, right.
And to test it, we need some kind of engine, which I'm not going to cover in this webinar. That is already installed. I will say test. And for testing that, I will use one engine. This is my engine, which is very, very easy to get. I will say run the test. So you should observe that we have not written any coding so far. We just did a drag and drop. We did the configurations. We understood the problem statement, and same thing we are trying to achieve with the help of the right set of configurations. So what does this green symbol indicates? That
Testing
everything
has
is
been done.
testing has been done and it is successful also. If something will go wrong,
And
it will be red in color.
yeah, sir, I have one more doubt in that.
Mhm.
While mapping, can we have that direct mapping? I mean, not like manually,
Automatically.
automatically.
Yes, we can have. So first we will execute this and then I will show you that. May I know who's speaking?
Srikanth.
Okay, Shrikant, I will show you. So what is the best way to test whether it worked or it did not work? If
Yeah,
the data from the file reached to the database, then we can conclude that it worked, isn't it?
yeah,
So we will go to the database. So what earlier, how many rows were there in the database? 0 rows, isn't it? And now I will run.
two.
Do you see the data? No, 2 is the line number, but you see the data or not? Or else we will try one more thing. Okay, we will go to the file. We will change the data in the file. We will write Shrikant's name. Yeah, we will change the employee ID. And we will make it 5,000. Okay. So what we have to do now? We will come back and again we will say test. And for testing, we have to
Run
select the
test.
runtime and run test. Very nice. Again, we can go back to the database. And what we will do? Do you see some Shrikant thing over here?
Yeah,
So it means we are able to achieve the integration,
right.
right? So we are
Sir,
able
I
to
have one
achieve.
doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have to test it by clicking on the test button, or it is not working on a runtime. Like always, we have to check this on this particular platform,
No,
or in
right
the
now we are
background.
just doing the development, right? So that's why we
Okay,
have to manually do it. Once we are
okay,
ready with the solution, we can put a scheduler on this that it will
okay,
automatically do that.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So right now we are just unit testing, right? That is it everything fine? Is it something working fine? And when we are sure that it is working fine, then we can add a scheduler.
Okay, okay.
Now to answer one question before I go to the next question. So for about this mappings, right? So now there are 3 fields. It was very easy to map. But what about 100 fields? It will be tough, isn't it? So Boomi has
Yeah.
some feature called as Boomi Suggest, where Boomi will give you some suggestion for mapping. Okay. So they run some artificial intelligence on the data which is residing in their repository and they will give you some suggestions. So they are giving you 3 different types of suggestions: high confidence, medium confidence, and low confidence. So you see what are their suggestions. They are saying employee ID from the source should be mapped to the employee ID in the target. Are their suggestions right? Do you think their suggestions are right?
Yeah.
If it is right, you can keep it checked. If you feel some suggestion is not good, you can uncheck it. Okay. I think these are good suggestions. I will say finish. Is it automatically done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save and close. So this is called as Boomi Suggest. This is a unique feature in Boomi which will help you to do the mapping automatically. Any questions from anyone? Do we have any questions in the chat window?
Sir, I have one doubt.
Mm-hmm.
If someone wants to, I mean, put their own logic in that particular function in between the translator, so he or she can able to put that.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
We can do that. That is possible. So just to, I will not cover that right away because we have some agenda, but here there are some functions, right? Using
Yeah.
those functions, we can write that logic.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? All right. So guys, I just wanted to give you a brief idea. See, there is a lot to speak about it, but I just wanted to give you a brief idea because when we are confused, we don't know, right, whether it is a right tool or not. So if someone can help us to give an idea about how it works, at least we can do some assessment in our mind, right? It's not necessary that you all should learn it. Some of you might be already learning it, but just wanted to give you a high level idea about how it looks like, right? So I hope this was helpful. We'll move on to the next thing. Any questions from anyone meanwhile? All right. So we had 4 things in our agenda. The first thing was how to build our first integration. So I think we are able to do that. We were able to build our first integration end to end. We were able to read the data from file and we were able to push to the database. Now the second important thing is how to get Dell Boomi certified, right? This is again very important thing because certification these days is very important. So we will speak about Dell Boomi certification. So I think 2 certifications which all people working on Boomi should target is, any idea from anyone? What are those certificates? Associate developer and integration developer. This now they call it as integration developer. Earlier they used to call it as professional developer. These 2 certifications are very important. Now, how do you write it? You can go to train.boomi.com, create your account there, and you can write the exams over there. These exams are free of cost, right? So right now there are very few companies in the market who are allowing you to write the exam free. This is a open book exam. What do you mean by open book exam? You can take help
Yeah.
from the internet anywhere and can write the exam. There is no time limit. Then you will have 3 attempts to complete your exam. If let's say you fail also, God forbids, I hope you all should pass in case you're trying. But in case you fail, you will have 3 attempts to try the exam. And believe me, this is very demanding right now. So anyone who wants to get certified can make note of all these points and can basically try to write the certification exam also once you get a good idea on this. Any questions on this?
Nope.
All right. Any questions from the integration which we discussed?
Yeah, sir. I have one question. Where we have to find the open resource, open source resources to learn this Boomi application?
Very good question. So this train.boomi.com, right? What I was telling, this is a LMS called as Learning Management System of Boomi. So if you want some free resources, open resources, you can do this, or you can just write on the Google Boomi documentation. So these are the 2 places from where you can learn or explore things about Boomi, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is this train.boomi.com will not only help you to write the exam. If you want to know more things about Boomi, even there you have a lot of material which will help you to get more knowledge and information about Boomi. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Any other questions from anyone? All right, guys, we'll again switch on to the next thing, because see, we learn everything. There has to be some goal, right? We So one thing is we want a new job, or we want to switch a job, or maybe we just want to improve our knowledge. So most of the people, right, who learn something new, they want to encash it, right? All of us wants to do that, right? Eventually we all want to be paid good. We want all the luxuries in the life. So it becomes very crucial for all of us to understand that what are the job opportunities on Boomi, right? I mean, is it something which is really demanding? Is it something where I can get paid really good? Is it something where I'll have future, right? So this is the third section which I just wanted to show you, this is how your certification will look like. I mean, your certificate will look like. just a snapshot of that. And next is I want to talk about the job opportunities. So these are the different job opportunities snapshots we have taken from different platforms. You guys also have the access to all these platforms: naukri.com, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, right? So you can check it yourself. Do not believe on our information, but we uh, kind of got us some snapshots where you can see there are a lot of opportunities right now in the market for this. Okay. And if there is some fresher, right, again, one more question I want to take, nobody asked me this. There are some freshers, right, who will be always wondering, who are very talented but they don't get the right platform, and they might wonder, right, even if I learn it, the jobs in the market are for experienced people, right? There are no jobs for freshers. So if you are in any such category, you can write an email to us and we can suggest you something, right? I don't want to talk about it right now, because since we are also into the implementation, so we can help you out in that sector. If you're really talented, or you're really enthusiastic to learn it, and you're looking for a platform, since we also do a lot of implementations, as I mentioned on our initial slides, right, that we do not only do the trainings. So you can write a note to us, we can see how can we help you. Any questions from anyone, guys?
Yeah, I have one question.
Mhm.
Regarding that associate developer certification, we need some kind of coding skills in that or programming language
No.
expertise in. Okay.
So if you have a little bit knowledge of JavaScript, it is helpful, but for writing that exam, it is not required. If you work in real time in the industry, some knowledge of JavaScript is helpful. That is also required in very less number of cases, but for writing the exam, you don't need to have any knowledge on JavaScript or any other programming language for that matter.
Okay, yeah, because most of the time developer means we are always putting the coding and programming language.
Yeah,
That
I
is
mean,
why.
that this is one tool where people who do not like coding but have ability to think and want to learn, right, this is one such tool for them.
Okay.
All right, so just want, now coming to the next point, right, we say, as we mentioned right at the start of this webinar, that we ourselves also deliver a lot of trainings, right? So we deliver training on Boomi also, and this is what our students say about it, right? These all are coming from our, like, we have not asked someone to post it, like you post this content for us. We requested for their feedback, and this is the feedback which is coming from them. And this all is coming from one of our videos on YouTube. Chitra, if you get a chance, if you have that link handy, please share it. You can even check it on the YouTube also. We have got so this is the feedback we receive, because we believe in starting from the very basics level to the advanced level, right? So that is what we believe. We will make sure that you start your journey from the basics of integration and get into a situation where you can work into the real time stuff. Here are few more testimonials from our people. So when we did our webinar one, I think some of these people were also there. I don't know if today someone has joined. Is there anyone in this uh, webinar who has attended any of my trainings in past?
Yeah, so I'm Priyanka.
All right, we have got Priyanka. Priyanka, how has been your experience with us?
It was very nice, very informative sessions.
All right, great. Thanks, Priyanka. So, like some people might think, right? How do we do this, right? How can we become Dell Boomi expert? How can we get into a position where we have some good jobs on Boomi? And more importantly, the future is bright in integration space, right? It is not only about Boomi. You should think integration as one stream, which has a very uh, you know demand, which is a really good demand. Like I have been seeing from 10 plus years, it has always been demanding. So we can also help you. One way is, see, you can learn from open sources, which you can always do. In case you feel this is the right tool for you, you want to know more about it, you really want to learn it, you want to develop an expertise on this, even we as a company can help you, and we just want to showcase you our course details, that how detailed course we have, which will help you to get fair idea about Boomi, and we will make you industry ready. So here are some of the modules from our courses. Like we'll start from the introduction part, where we speak about the basics, all installations, about the different components. Then we do a deep dive where we talk about different use cases, different shapes, how to write some conditions, how to build some cross reference tables. In module 3 we speak about end to end life cycle implementation, because like somebody asked me, right, sir, every time I have to go and manually hit it, which was a very very nice question, right? So no, there will be a complete life cycle, right? And complete life cycle will consist of 3 steps: build, deploy, manage. So just in this webinar we focus on build part, right? But there is deploy, there is manage. That's where the complete life cycle management comes into the picture. Then how to achieve modular integrations, how to write some custom logic, right? Even you can write some custom logic using Groovy script, JavaScript, though it is not mandatory to do that. Then another very important thing in the market right now is consuming the REST APIs, SOAP APIs. APIs are very very important right now in the market. So we will speak about that. We'll speak about cache. We will also show you real-time integrations with some SaaS applications, and then at the end the best practices, right? So that right, what are the right ways to do something. So we do an complete very very extensive course on this, and like people who have attended our trainings right now are working with some very very good companies. And we have a new live batch, so I will be the trainer. I am coming up with a live batch that starts from 8th of this month, that is 8th September. Timings are 10 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST, right? So in case you feel you find this tool interesting, uh, I what I can tell you is it's one of the easiest and more demanding tools in the market. If someone is looking for a some kind of a catalyst for your career, I think this is the good tool. I would request you people who have stayed for like 1.5 hour. It's been like 70 minutes I've been speaking. So if you have stayed here, that means you're trying to grasp something. You do your research, try to know about it, try to see that what value it holds in the market. And if you feel you want to make your career on this, so we have a new live batch. I do not do batches very very frequently. I do it once in a quarter. So we have a new live batch starting 8th of this month, 10 a.m. IST to 11 a.m. IST. And if you think you want to go for it, you can basically connect with us. uh, you can write a mail to us, or you can make a note of our numbers. Maybe Chitra, you can also push those information in the chat window, or else I think you guys must have got some mechanism to connect us by now, right? You must be receiving some emails from us already about this webinar. So you can always come back to us in case you're interested. This is going to be around 45 days program, very very extensive program, where we will do a lot of real-time use cases to make you industry ready. If you're already into a job looking for a switch, then you can think about it. If you're a fresher or whatever stage you are in, what I can tell you is you can be, after these 45 days you will be in a very very good shape. Any questions from anyone? Yeah, I think one thing I forgot to mention, we have a free course on Udemy, right? To give you an idea, like it is more like this webinar but on a different line. So we keep on doing these free webinars to spread more awareness about this tool, right? We have our videos on YouTube also. I would just quickly show you our LinkedIn page, right? So in case you don't want to do any course, we don't want to force you, but we keep on posting some of the questions also over here, right? If you're learning, like for example, there are a lot of people who are participating in this kind of uh, polls which we conduct. This will eventually help you to be more ready for the certification exams, because you will see very similar questions in your certification exams. So you can follow us over here. if you want to learn it in a prescriptive manner where you feel that I want some industry expert to help us, then you can definitely get in touch with us. We can help you out, and I'm here with you to take any questions you have. Any questions from anyone? Anything. I mean, it can be a technical question, it can be a non-technical question, it can be some feedback about webinar, it can be something which you understood, which you did not understand.
Sir, can we have this class recording in that?
Yeah, you can get it from us. You can just drop your email ID, right? Or you can even write a mail to us. We can share this recording. Actually, this will go live. I'm not sure you saw our previous webinar, so we have a tendency to basically put all these webinars live so that some people, because they might have some other commitments due to which they could not join us today, they can see at a later stage.
Okay. And not only this, total 45 days classes, we have that.
So that will be there for the people who will subscribe for the course.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that will be there, but for the people who will subscribe for the course.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
So this Boomi platform is also, somehow related in the DevOps profiles as well, because there
No,
in the
DevOps
DevOps
is a
also.
different piece actually. But
Okay.
but you can, if you're a DevOps person, you can do some automations here. Actually, in DevOps, you do some automations. But this is a different thing actually than DevOps.
Okay.
Yeah. See, DevOps is a very, very advanced and very, very vast thing. Even like some things like Java, artificial intelligence, DevOps, people are learning, and it's good to learn those. But the only thing is they cannot. So there are a lot of freshers, especially. I'm not sure what is your experience. They will learn all these courses and eventually they don't know how to get a job on that, because there are 10 different tools there,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, correct.
So they don't know which tool is the right tool. Some companies asking this tool, some companies asking that tool, and being a master on all 10 tools is not possible. So what I advise to the people is, don't look for fancy things which you can encash. Go for those things which will make sense for you, right?
Correct.
So right, so I think this is one tool which does not take much time to learn, does not involve much coding also, but it is all about awareness, right? People are not having the awareness that there is one such tool in the market which is doing so good. That is a problem.
Yes, makes sense.
Guys, do you think whatever we showed was helpful, that integration, or that was kind of bouncer, you did not follow anything what we were trying to achieve there?
Yeah, literally for me, it's it's very informative, because really I don't know the is there any software like Boomi?
All right, thanks Shrikant. Where are you joining from, Shrikant?
So,
Who was speaking? Was it Shrikant or there was Shubham?
no, it's a Shubham, not me.
Okay, Shubham, where
Yeah,
are you joining from?
Yeah, from Radhabad.
Radhabad. All right, nice. Guys, we have another 5 minutes for you. If you have any questions, so we don't see, we have shared some information. If you feel this is helpful for you, go for it. If you do not feel that this I'm ready for it, that's fine. We would still want to stay connected with you. We would want you to be part of our community. We would want to share updates from our side to you, right? Because you might be thinking or evaluating few things, which is fine, but stay connected with us on our social platforms. If you have any questions, you need any kind of suggestions, stay connected with us. We'll be more than happy to do that. Chitra, do we have any questions in the chat window which we need to cover? I don't think so. Guys, any other questions from anyone? All right then.
Actually, I guess there are lots of freshers.
Okay.
More basics. Just ask in the comment section if they want pre-recorded class on the new fundamentals. So we have shared that Udemy course with them because most of our subscribers to the 7 are freshers. They want new
Yeah, guys, if you want to know more, right, just go do one thing, because this webinar had some specific agenda. Go here. Here is our stuff, right? People call me Sunny and Sumit both. Both are my names. We have some more stuff. No rush. Take your time. Check out these videos. I think you can follow another series I have, which is here. I think the link has already been shared. We have, I think, 2, 3 videos, and the idea is to give a fair understanding of the things, because we don't want to push people to learn something unnecessarily if it does not make sense for them, right? So everybody have different preferences. Some people really like coding, some people want to be away from the coding. So we want you to explore it, and if you think this really makes sense for you, you want to be part of our training, if you want to subscribe for any of our training programs, you can get in touch with us and we'll be happy to start your trainings, which is going to happen from 8th of this month. So guys, any questions from anyone? All right, I think we are before time, which is great. If we do not have any further questions, we'll wind it up. If you still need anything from our side, please feel free to reach out to us, and we can help you out, guys, for sure. Thanks for staying so late. It really means a lot for us, right? Thanks for spending your time, and stay connected with us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.